You ever feel like your own thoughts are your biggest enemy? Well, today we're jumping into a book that's been a guide for millions, Norman Vincent Peale's classic, The Power of Positive Thinking. Let's break down why its message is still so incredibly powerful.
Right off the bat, Peele asks a really direct question, one that gets the heart of everything. What is your most difficult personal problem? Just think about it for a second. For so many of us, the real answer isn't about a lack of talent or not having the right opportunities. Nope, it's something way deeper.
And get this, when a university posed that same question to 600 psychology students, the results were, well, they were staggering. A full 75% of them said their single biggest problem was a lack of confidence. This isn't just feeling a little unsure of yourself. This is a massive, widespread issue.
So let's just call it what it is, a confidence crisis. Peale argues that this deep, profound self-doubt is the #1 thing holding people back from being happy and successful. It's that little voice in your head that whispers, you can't do it before you even give it a shot.
Peele brings this idea to life with the story of a businessman. He's on the verge of closing the biggest, most important deal of his entire career. But right at that moment, he's just paralyzed, overwhelmed by this feeling that he isn't good enough, totally convinced he's going to fail. Now, Peele's solution wasn't some kind of complex therapy. It was a simple, practical formula. He told the man to pick a powerful phrase and just repeat it over and over. Say it walking down the street, say it a few times before falling asleep, and say it 3 times right before that big meeting. The goal? To literally push out the negative thoughts by flooding his mind with positive ones. And one of those powerful phrases? This one, right from the Bible. It's a statement of absolute, unwavering faith. It's designed to build this mental fortress of confidence. And the businessman, he said this simple trick did wonders for him. Which brings us to the book's main point. Okay, so that story really sets up the book's central idea. This whole thing isn't about quick fixes. Peele's big argument is that our internal thoughts don't just add color to our world, they actually create it. Your mind is literally the architect of your reality. Think about this other story of a 52-year-old man who came to Peele just completely broken. He lost his business, and in his mind, his life was over, done. His thoughts had built this reality for him, a world with zero hope. But then Peele made him stop and list his actual assets. And look at this list. A wonderful wife, 3 loving kids, good friends, his health, his integrity. He had so much. But his mind was so fixated on the one thing he lost that he was totally blind to all the incredible wealth he still had. His reality, it was all about his perspective. So if our mind really does shape our world, then how do we actually reshape our minds? Well, Peele offers a practical toolkit, one that's powered by faith, designed to do exactly that. One of the most powerful tools he talks about is something called picturization. And let's be clear, this is way more than just wishful thinking. It's about the disciplined act of creating a super detailed mental movie of what you want to happen, and then holding on to that image with total faith until it becomes real. For example, the book tells the story of a wife who was terrified her marriage was falling apart. So instead of dwelling on that fear, she started to constantly, vividly picture her husband happy, back at home, sitting in his favorite chair. She held that positive image, and one night, that mental picture became her reality. Here's another cool technique. Physically change your environment to change your thoughts. Peele talks about a traveling salesman who clipped little cards with uplifting Bible verses to the visor in his car. By literally surrounding himself with these positive messages, he was constantly feeding his mind with faith and courage, leaving no room for the negative stuff. So what happens when you start applying these principles? According to Peele, you unlock a life that's just full of energy, peace, and personal power, a life that isn't constantly being drained by negativity. Peele introduces this really fascinating idea from a physician he knew, this concept of energy leaks. The theory is that when we feel constantly tired, it's often not a physical problem at all. It's our vital energy literally leaking away because of negative emotions like fear, resentment, and guilt. Now, contrast that with this story about a famous statesman who gave 7 speeches in a single day, and he wasn't even tired. What was his secret? It wasn't about physical stamina. It was conviction. He was so on fire for his cause, so passionate, that his enthusiasm became this bottomless well of energy. As Peale puts it, the surest way not to become tired is to lose yourself in something in which you have a profound conviction. In other words, real energy doesn't come from a lack of activity. It comes from doing something you truly, deeply care about. It's boredom and cynicism that really wear us out.
And all of this leads us to the grand finale, the big takeaway. The entire philosophy really boils down to one core idea for getting what you want in life. Believe, and you will succeed.
Peale uses this perfect metaphor to explain it. It's from a trapeze instructor who was teaching his students how to master the high bar, a trick that requires conquering a huge amount of fear. His advice was as simple as it was profound. He told them, throw your heart over the bar and your body will follow. Just think about that. Your commitment comes first. You send your belief, your passion, your heart flying towards the goal. And once you've done that, your actions, your body, they'll just naturally follow suit. And, this isn't some newfangled idea. Peale even quotes the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius to show that this is a timeless truth. The life you're going to live tomorrow is being built right now by the thoughts you choose to hold in your mind today.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? If your life is really just the sum of your thoughts, what powerful, positive, faith-filled thought are you going to choose to build your world on?